Hi guys. So today's video is going to be a list of my favorite books of 2018, but specifically my favorite adult fantasy books. I have a tendency to get very excited when I talk about my favorite books, and sometimes I yammer on for a really long time, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm going to start off by saying I absolutely loved Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. This actually came as a recommendation from you guys, so thank you so much because, oh my gosh. I thought this book was absolutely fantastic, and the way I often describe it to people is it's kind of like Name of the Wind in premise, but I liked the execution of this one more, and I liked the main character a lot more. I generally don't even really care for the whole I'm gonna tell you my life story premise, but in Bloodsong it just worked because that is the setup. The setup is that we follow this young man named Valen Alsorna who is currently imprisoned at the very beginning, and he is about to tell somebody his life story, and then you go into the past and his life story is being told. And his life story, I just found it so interesting to read about. He starts off as a child and is taken to this school for boys, and this school is meant to turn these young boys into the finest of soldiers. It sounds a teensy bit campy, but it's not campy whatsoever. It's not hokey like, hey fellas, we're gonna get really good with a sword. Not like that. It's really rigorous, and some of the kids die. And we follow Valen from boyhood into manhood, and his character is one that is definitely very reserved and very reflective, and he takes things very seriously, but I found him to be also kind of traditionally masculine without having the stereotypically negative traits that you sometimes see in traditionally masculine characters in books, and I so appreciated that. I really loved that because I like traditionally masculine characters. I feel that sometimes we don't get enough of them because there are a lot of traditionally masculine folk out there, and I like having a character that is a little bit more kind of that, like, I'm stoic and he has this need to protect people and do what's right, but he's also just like a dude. I don't know, I really appreciated that. I appreciate characters in all sorts of forms, and I really liked that his was one that had those personality traits but wasn't plagued with this like D-bag personality also. Next adult fantasy book that I absolutely loved would be A Season of Storms by Andrzej Sapkowski. Many of you are likely probably already aware of the fact that I'm a pretty big Witcher fan, but one thing that I always get a little bit nervous about when there are books written that come after a series is already completed is that those books are gonna suck. So I was actually a little scared to pick up Season of Storms. That was not, thankfully, what happened with Season of Storms at all. It's not going to be for everybody, and everybody is going to like different things about the Witcher series, but for me, this was everything I love about the Witcher series. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Witcher, it follows a monster hunter named Geralt along with a series of other characters. There's actually quite a few characters throughout the main series, and it has a lot of moments of humor as well as presenting questions to do with morality and destiny, and this book I thought had such a fantastic combination of those things. Maybe not so much the destiny theme, but I definitely think that it still presented a lot of questions. There was a lot of grayness, and our main character, as usual, he's so likable but also super flawed, and he makes stupid decisions pretty often, and he has friendships with characters and relationships with characters that you wouldn't expect him to have, and it just, I think, is such a good representation of weirdly what real relationships are like. Next story that I, oh my gosh, love this so much. It is absolutely my top 5 favorite stories, and it might technically be considered more young adult, but whatever. And that would be Fullmetal Alchemist. This story follows 2 young brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, who committed what is kind of the ultimate sin in their world, which is that they tried to use alchemy to bring back their mother from the dead, but things went terribly wrong. Not only did their mother not come back from the dead, but Edward lost an arm and a leg, and Alphonse lost his body, and his soul had to be attached to a body of armor. These 2 brothers are now making an effort to get their original bodies back, and along the way we are introduced to a lot of other characters, all of which have an amazing amount of character depth. Every single character, even if they're a really minor character, you have some kind of emotional attachment to them, or you have some kind of feeling toward them, regardless of whether they're good guys or bad guys. Also a good amount of action, and there's a good amount of characters questioning what they do and trying to do what is best, but sometimes what they feel is best might come at a price. And we see that so often with so many different characters. I absolutely love the way that it's executed, and the story is hilarious. There are so many funny parts. I've watched all of the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood anime, but I've not read all of the manga. But the anime is a good example of the humor. It's really funny, but the manga, it's present even more, and it's fantastic. The next favorite from this year is one that I don't actually have on me because I lent it to my friend Jashana over at Jashana C, but that would be Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I honestly don't know why Warbreaker isn't talked about more. I'm a huge Sanderson fan. Mistborn's my favorite trilogy. Story of My Archive's not done yet, but it's definitely probably going to be up there when it comes to favorite series. It's already in my top 5, and only 3 of 10 books are out. And while Warbreaker is currently a standalone and doesn't have nearly the scope that Mistborn and Story of My Archive do, it's still a really great story. And oddly, I would say it's almost harder for people to write a really good standalone in the adult fantasy genre. I have talked about Warbreaker in quite a few other videos, but to give a quick little synopsis of it, it follows these 2 sisters, one who is going to be married into this kingdom where there are these godlike beings, and she's going to be married to the king, the god king, and then her sister is this happy-go-lucky person that has no political obligations, and their roles kind of sort of get reversed. The one sister, Siri, who has no political obligations, is the one that her father decides he's going to send to marry the God King instead. There isn't nearly the same amount of action in Warbreaker as there is with Sanderson's other books, but man, is there a good amount of political intrigue. Plus, I would say it's got the most amount of humor in it, and that's honestly because of a character named Lightsong. Lightsong is this godlike being who doesn't understand why he's godlike. He has no idea why him, of all people, has been considered this amazing being. He doesn't know why he's in this position. He really honestly makes a huge joke of his position. He kind of tries to show people, hey, look, I'm an idiot. Why do all of you respect me so much? And literally any little thing he does, people are like, wow, that's so prophetic, that's so amazing and enlightened. And he's like, no, I'm just stupid. This story arc, though, along with our sisters and a few other characters, is really cool to see play out. It's really fun to see how these characters have to interact with one another and how they have so much growth throughout the story. And to go with that is the humor and the political intrigue. It's a really great story, and I absolutely loved it. The last adult fantasy favorite of this year would be The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. In this story, we follow our main character named Kelsey, who has been kept hidden until she reaches adulthood, and the story starts with her on her, I believe, her 19th birthday, when she is going to be accompanied back to the Tearling to become the queen, and immediately people are out to kill her. Despite this, Kelsey perseveres. She has more perseverance and determination and pure willpower to do what's right than pretty much any other character I've ever seen. It's not that she does it either with this ridiculous sense of purity. She thinks about the consequences of her actions, but she's got such a, she has this amazing moral compass that pushes her to do what she feels is right, no matter what. And in so many books now where we see a lot of gray characters, it was really cool to have a character that it's like, I can for sure root for this person. That isn't to say that Kelsey isn't flawed or that she doesn't get succumbed to regular human emotions. Kelsey is described throughout the book as not being particularly attractive, so she does sometimes look at other people who are better looking than her and just think like, meh, and wishes she was prettier. And then she also finds herself attracted to an individual that she doesn't understand why she's attracted to, so she still ends up having real human emotions. She definitely felt like a real person, but it didn't, I wasn't ever sitting there like, oh, well, that, you probably shouldn't murder kids or something. Anyway, that is it for my favorite adult fantasy books of 2018. Please let me know what your favorite adult fantasy books of 2018 were. If any of you are interested in hearing anything else or more in-depth book reviews and chats about any of these books, I will link them in the description bar down below. Also, don't forget to check out the charity Save the Children. I have the link to that in the description bar down below. Anybody who donates to that will be entered into a giveaway, so please take a sec to check that out, help out some kids in need. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye.